Welcome back to Cut and Splice. This is Jason.
And Matt.
And Gil.
And tonight we are not really talking about a movie so much as just going to be talking about the Oscars again. And hopefully going over all the ins and outs of our thoughts on all of that.
The movies.
Yeah, the movies. Yes.
I mean, some of them, definitely not all of them.
We're going to discuss every single nomination in every category.
No, I just mean that there's some very good movies that might not be in the main categories, so that we won't discuss from last year. But
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess to start off, we were just before we recorded, we were talking about which movies we have seen. I guess. Of the Best Picture ones. Which ones haven't you seen, Jason?
I was just looking right now. Okay, so out of the 10 Best Picture nominees, the ones I have not seen are really frustrated. I didn't get to see Tar. That was probably the one I wanted to see the most that I didn't get to. And then I have not seen Triangle of Sadness or Women Talking. I actually also did not see All Quiet on the Western Front, even though I probably should have tried to see that today, but I forgot about it.
All right. So you haven't seen All Quiet on the Western Front,
Tar,
Women Talking, Tar, Triangle of Sadness.
Those are the four.
Those are the four. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, the other six I saw.
And Matt, you saw all of them?
No, because I'm a misogynist piece of shit. I haven't seen Triangle of Sadness or Women Talking, but the other ones I have seen.
I can understand women talking. I mean, let me rephrase. I can understand your joke about women talking. I don't even know that Triangle of Sadness was a movie that would particularly.
I don't know. It's
okay. Sorry. Now I'm drawing attention to the fact that it was probably a thin joke.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now I'm like, I did see Women Talking. I just finished it yesterday. And it's too bad because Triangle of Sadness was, I guess it's kind of like a sleeper one because it won the Palme d'Or, so it's very highly acclaimed. But yeah, for some reason it was the lowest profile of the movies. So I haven't seen. So it's unfortunately like that's going to be the only one that we're not going to be able to say anything about. And it's a foreign film, right? It's in a different language, right? Because it's Ruben Östlund. I don't know if it's like what's the language of it?
I should have tried to send it to you guys, but I completely just ran out of time. I watched a really, really interesting video on YouTube that was recommended to me, where this guy broke down all the details about how the Oscars are, like how stuff is nominated, what the requirements are, like in extreme detail about every single category and stuff. It was really cool.
Interesting. Yeah,
I think it's a Swedish film.
Yeah, it looks like Swedish, but it says the languages that are spoken are, and I don't know how accurate this is, obviously, but there's like multiple languages that are spoken in it. Like it says Swedish, German, French, Greek. So I don't know what's going on in that movie, but I guess I really feel bad. I am gonna see it. We're planning on seeing it the next 2 nights. It's just that I didn't have time, so I'll see it by the Oscars.
I'll probably knock those two out on Friday when I actually have a day off. But anyway.
Yeah, but I was gonna say the ones I haven't seen is Triangle of Sadness and Top Gun Maverick, but I have been able to see all the other ones. I saw Avatar in theaters in 3D as James Cameron intended.
You got to have your eyes bleed just like I did.
No, I mean, I will say I don't want to get too deep into it now, but like the one thing I would say about the 3D is that it didn't bother me just as much as I felt like it was unnecessary. You watch that movie, and after 5-10 minutes, your eyes adjust to the 3D, and I just feel like I'm watching a movie. It's just that it's got more artifacts because, there's just these elements that keep adjusting based on how much deep focus there is in a shot, or if it's an action scene versus just a regular scene. And I just feel like it's unnecessary that there is three-dimensional to cinematic images because there's optics, there's the placement of the camera. You don't need that added thing unless it's an animated kids movie and you just want to do it for the kids. I really feel like it has no place in adult movies, but I
I would
understand.
argue not even then.
And possibly. No, I'm just as an experience for kids, kind of
I-
like
I-
going to like a Disneyland ride.
Well, I
but-
think if there have been rides at Disneyland and or Disney and also Universal and other theme parks that did it just fine. If you want a 20-minute experience with 3D stuff, that's fine. That's great for that kind of stuff. But I agree with you. I don't think it really has any place right now with the level of technology we have now. I don't see any reason to go to 3D.
Games maybe would make sense, but even then, I just think that the whole thing of just spending so much time, like an hour and a half, 2-3 hours in that state, is just not it just doesn't work. Like it's tiring. It's kind of like the way Les Mis was tiring because nobody stopped singing the whole movie. That's what I feel like 3D is that I need a break. I need like a pause from the intensity, and the 3D just keeps going. It's just, I don't know.
Is just question. Trying to remember what Matt said he did and didn't see. So was there any one movie that none of us saw?
Yeah,
I think Triangle of Sadness.
Okay,
Triangle
that's
of
what
Sadness.
I thought.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry,
Yeah.
Triangle of Sadness. It's
Yeah.
very sad.
It is very sad. It's a triangle too because there's three of us, so it's I think I'm gonna label this episode Triangle.
the 2023 Oscars, the Triangle of Sadness.
Or nobody saw Triangle of Sadness.
Okay.
That should be the subtitle. The Triangle of Sadness, where nobody saw Triangle of Sadness. Oh gosh. Okay.
I was close. I was like 4 days away, like 2 days away from watching it. But if we recorded this later in the week, there's just no way I'll have it ready.
Right.
By Oscar time.
Well, okay. I mean, I'm just trying to steer us back to talking about these things. Like, so all right, do you want to start talking about the best picture stuff, or should we work our way up to that like they do at the actual ceremony?
No, I think we should bang those out first, before we get into the other categories that are of interest to us. And we can jump back and forth, but we can start like based on this list. So all Quiet on the Western Front. So Jason hasn't seen it. So Matt, what do you think? Is it would you recommend that movie for Jason to see?
I would recommend it to anybody to see. My only major criticism of the movie is that the riff in the actual musical score just kept reminding me of the Futurama episode Game of Tones. Like the rah, rah, rah. Like it just kept reminding me of Futurama. But
well, I'm sure for most people it didn't.
But other than that, I think I was a huge fan of 1917 when it came out, before the unspecified virus of unknown origins hit and everything. I'm a nerd about World War One, and I've also watched every adaptation of All Quiet on the Western Front, and this is the best one. And it's fantastic. It's really good. It is not my pick for Best Picture, but it's damn good.
Yeah, I didn't see the American version, the one that won the Oscar, I think, for Best Picture back when. It came out like several years just after the book came out, I think, back then. But and which now interests me to watch it because like, oh, it was Germans, so they but it was an American movie back then. So that's interesting. But But yeah, I didn't know the whole background of it, and I think that movie, to jump around a bit, because I like to put these movies in certain tiers. I feel like All Quiet on the Western Front and Women Talking are two movies here that are similar in the sense that they're about very important subjects that are worthy of exploring, but both of them are just horrendous to sit through. It was just extremely unpleasant. But I guess for different reasons with women talking, not necessarily per se, but yeah, I felt like All Quiet on the Western Front, it was shot really, really well, really beautifully. Which just that's all always an argument, like why shoot a war movie beautifully, because you're could be glorifying the action to some degree,
Yeah.
which it doesn't to me personally, um, but
No, yeah. Now, All Quiet on the Western Front to me stands out as one of those movies that I mean, yes, the photography is beautiful, but it still depicts an environment that you do not want to be in.
yeah, it's very gruesome. It's got a little bit of come and see in there, I feel like at times.
Yeah,
Some of
it's not
the
it's
muddy faces and stuff.
right. It's not on the same level as Come and See, but it's yeah, it's good.
But it's definitely like taking you through a journey of like, you don't want this. You really don't want this. And there's
Right.
nothing nice about war. Um, and we're stupid for doing this. Um,
Well, and World War One is such an interesting platform to actually build that narrative upon, because like there was such a futility to that conflict where like people were put through a meat grinder to gain like 15 yards of ground. I
yeah, the
mean,
futility of war.
it was just so. I mean, again, like I've read several books at this point about the Battle of the Somme, and 20,000 British soldiers died in one day, and it was for nothing. It's one of the more interesting pieces of world history, and I mean it gets overshadowed by World War II, but yeah, it's good that we have great movies out there that are actually talking about what World War One actually was. Uh, but they're very few and far between.
But the thing, my main takeaway from that movie is that it is silly that after going through that craziness and the futility of that war, only to then start World War II. The Germans. It's like they did not learn their lesson.
You
Um,
think that
Yeah.
they didn't learn their lesson? I think the Italians didn't learn their lesson with who to side with.
yeah, that too. I mean, everybody made mistakes, and obviously Hitler came in, so it's not exactly as if the populace really wanted another war. And they, because of World War One, and the mistake of like the depression that befell the Germans, that's why they got desperate and went for World War II. That's why I think the West also reacted to that and did things differently after World War II,
Yeah.
and try to keep Germany afloat so it doesn't try to, do this again. Um, but yeah, and it worked out. But yeah, but it's the whole thing is just depressing. It's a very depressing movie. And I'll reserve some of the women talking for later. But I guess it is a good segue, I feel like, to Avatar, because I don't know, to some degree, that movie is almost, I know the first one was also kind of a war movie. There's a lot of battles in it, but
Especially the end.
yeah, I don't know why I felt like this one even more so. There was some war movie aspect to it. But unlike All Quiet on the Western Front, I felt like, and I guess you can tell me also, I don't know how it relates to the action in Top Gun Maverick that I haven't seen, but James Cameron never ceases to surprise and amaze us in how good he is at portraying action. Like it's really, when I came out of that movie, it was captivating stuff. Even
The
though,
camera,
yeah,
as you said, the camera loves him. He's just like,
the camera.
yeah, it's just like
His name is James Cameron, the greatest pioneer.
Okay. But no, I really, I mean, it's pretty much what the reviews were saying too, is that like it's really fun stuff, like to sit down and watch, and it's got some admirable themes that he's trying to explore, but it is a bit hollow in some cases, and it overdoes it. And I guess that's what I was gonna say also on All Quiet on the Western Front. And some of these movies is like I really could have done with like 20-30 minutes less. Which I think Avatar 2 could have also, Avatar 2, no pun intended, could have, do with.
I could do a whole episode on Avatar 2, and it wouldn't be as difficult to do as it was when we did our Star Wars episode. But seeing as how I love the first one so much, and Cameron is my favorite director and everything, it's like I was a little let down by Avatar 2. And most of it, I did like the movie quite a bit. I enjoyed watching it and everything. But if I had to really sum it up into something very, very short, I really enjoyed it, but I felt like there were way too many characters, and it it really felt like they were just trying to set up the next couple movies a little too much. And while they solved a few of the minor issues I had with the first one, they kind of made some whole new issues with this one. So I mean, overall, I was a little disappointed by some of it, but really, I think one of the biggest problems, like I said, is that first thing, just that there's too many characters. I mean, he's
Yeah.
they give him like this family of like six people or something like that, six characters, and it's like you could have combined, like, I guess the two of the sons and the daughter and somebody else into one character, and or into like two characters, so that there's two of the Sully children, if you want to call them that, the and that would have really helped a lot. And I don't know, there's a few other little things that were just kind of weird issues as well, but if there's, like you said, you felt like it was about 30 minutes too long. I mean, if they had done that, you solve so many problems. You kind of consolidate your storytelling into, fewer characters and fewer little less screen time. You give the other characters more time to shine, and you kind of can cut down on that 2.5 hour, whatever it is, 3.5 hour
Yeah,
runtime.
yeah. It was like, yeah, it was over 3 hours,
Three,
but
3.5, yeah. And
yeah,
again, I don't want to harp on the same stuff we've talked about in the past, but just to be clear, I have no problem with long movies. It would just, as we all said, we all kind of want to bring back the intermission.
Yeah, no, but that's, I guess,
yeah,
like we said, it's an issue with the presentation in theaters more than anything else.
yeah.
If I
I mean,
watched this at home, it easily would have been a 3 sitting type of
yeah,
thing,
yeah. I mean, yeah. Jesus Christ, just let me take a piss at some
which I did. I
point.
had
Yeah,
to. At least I only went once.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, in terms of the amount of characters, it there's a YouTuber, history buffs who talked about the movie Alexander. And I mean, it's actually a really historically accurate movie, but we just brought up that scene before, like the first major battle sequence, and Alexander talking to all of his, commanders and everything. Like, seriously, who the fuck can remember who all these people are? Like, you have no connection to them. He's just like, there are like 15 people in this room, and he's talking to them, and we're supposed to remember all these people and actually have some connection to them. What the hell are you doing? And a lot of Avatar kind of felt that way. It's just like, you only get a certain amount of time with a certain amount of characters, and uh, you can't connect to people that quickly. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. To me, the family part worked. I mean, it needed to be a bit of a clan of sorts because if they're running away or going into hiding together, the when it's a bigger family, it feels like more of a clan that's needs to survive. And there's the dynamic between the two brothers, and yeah, there's the young sister that's less consequential. The older one is more consequential and will be more in the sequels. Sounds like the way it's set up. I actually forgot that she's basically Sigourney Weaver's daughter or something, like the
Gosh,
scientist from one.
that's a weird one. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd have to
because she was
rewatch the movie.
hugging the thing. I didn't remember. It's been like 2009 or something when it came out or something.
Okay,
But
so the end of Matt, help me out if I get this wrong. Okay, if I remember correctly, I need to rewatch Avatar 2. I wanted to do that. I just kind of like got too busy with other stuff. But if I
or
remember
Avatar one
correctly,
or
no. I watched one right before I saw two.
oh
But I believe the justification for that character was at the end of Avatar 1, Sigourney Weaver's character has been shot, the human. They have the Avatar body there, so they bring it to the holy tree thing, and they try to do the thing where they can move her consciousness into the Avatar body permanently. But
oh
she dies in the process. But I guess at the beginning of this movie, they're saying that was it that the Avatar body was suddenly pregnant or something like that? Is that what it was? I'm trying to remember
yeah.
how.
I don't remember.
I
I just
think
know
that's
that's
what it was.
I
Oh, and
just know
she's
that
the
Sigourney Weaver
offspring
was
of
the
that.
She is basically like the Jesus character. She's like she's got like all of Grace, which is Sigourney Weaver's characters, like DNA in an avatar body, but the it's like a immaculate conception kind of concept.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
really frustrated that I can't remember the exact details of that, but that's what I remember. But to be precise, Gil, I also don't have a problem with the whole family dynamic. I just think there are redundant characters. You've got the older
yeah,
brother, you've got the younger brother, and then you've got the older sister, the younger sister. Half the time, you've got the one brother getting into some sort of trouble. The other brother doesn't really seem to serve any purpose except to show the difference in their character. You can do that with some one of the characters. You don't need it like that. And then you've got this whole thing about how for some reason the younger brother has this strange unusual connection to the animals or something like that. But then you've also simultaneously got this character, the Sigourney Weaver character, who just happens to have this unusual thing, which is perfectly explainable for her character. So again, just combine them. Take the two brother characters, combine them together. Take all the weird story about the strange way that the brother connects to the nature and the animals, and give that to the other girl's character. You combine them together, and then the little one, the other daughter, literally serves no purpose in the movie except to get captured and held at hostage 4 times. Not once, not
yeah.
twice,
No, that was
four
some
times.
redundancy. That was one of
Get
the
Yeah.
big things.
out
Is
of here.
like
Are you kidding
they
me?
free them and then they get trapped again. It's kind of
And
silly.
then
Yeah.
again, and then
Yeah.
again, and a fourth time at the end. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, Jim, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're better than this. You know, like,
No,
I
and
mean,
he definitely repeated himself. And there's a few things there. Like I like the relationship of the brother to the whale and stuff. But then the
yeah,
thing
but
with the
you could have
whales,
given it to the girl. I liked
yeah,
it too. I liked
that's
all of
true.
it. I liked everything with all
It's
four
possible.
of the siblings, but you could have done it with two.
No, it's just that
Yeah.
she's connecting to nature. He was connecting to this one specific animal. But I think then,
Why not make them both? Make them
but
the
then he
same
got
character.
greedy. Like then he got greedy with the whales, and then he started like this whole thing where they're all connected to the whales, the sea people, and then like there's the whale who's like essentially anthropomorphized, like well, she was a poet and she delayed having babies because she wanted to like do her creative work. What the? Come on, seriously. I get it that that he wants to portray these whales as sophisticated animals, but you don't have to go as far as that. Like, yeah, they're like humans. You know, she went off to college, or she dedicated her life to her
Yeah.
poetry before she had like offsprings. Come on, whales are not gonna do that. They're gonna procreate when they're gonna procreate, but they'll find time to also, you know, compose beautiful whale songs. I'm okay with that. You just don't have to anthropomorphize it too much. So it's a little, there's some stuff that like he presses a little bit too far.
I
But
also, this is just getting almost nitpicky, but as long you can cut this, but as long as we're talking about Avatar 2, I think it was, you know, when you're making a complex movie and you need to get to this point at the end because it's the payoff, you know, he needed to get to the point where the Stephen Lang, is that the character, the bad guy?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. He needed to get to the point where Stephen Lang and some elite troopers are in avatar bodies so that there's this awesome fight that we've all been waiting for, you know, at the end of the movie with Jake Sully and with you know, with Natiri and everything. We needed that. That was practically, you know, the
Obligatory.
obligatory given thing that it has to happen. But in order to achieve that, he then writes this story where him and the, I don't know what there were, probably five other Avatar troopers or whatever, then take this like little feral human kid and like he
Oh, I
teaches
hated
them
that
how
character.
he teaches them how to fly the things. Are you kidding me? We had a whole movie to understand how Jake got to that point where he could tame one of those banshee things. That, I mean, if you're going to show me that this guy was able to do this, at least say that they started out with 15 troopers and half of them died in the process. No. They're all good. They're all good. They just did it. You know, it's all good. Forget everything you saw in the last movie. Well, they're good enough. They just got it. You know, they didn't
yeah.
even have
Yeah.
anyone to train them. They just had the boys show them where they were, and that was it.
Yeah.
Come on. You know,
Yeah.
There was a
and
moment where they thought he was gonna die, but then
yeah, and that's fine. I don't mind just giving a little bit of drama to the situation, but like, I mean, if you're gonna do that, I mean, half of them need to die in the process, you know. And I don't know, there's some stuff that little boy's character doesn't make sense. There's it's a lot of ham sandwich stuff that does not make any sense to his character at all. I mean, he was an interesting character, but it doesn't work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's tough. I mean, to sum up, like I did hear a talk, an interview he had with Del Toro, where he said that basically they were
James Cameron
struggling.
and Del Toro.
Yeah, because they're like good
Oh,
friends. So
interesting.
it was like for the DGA podcast.
Oh,
But in any case, it's like a 30-minute thing. But he was saying how they were struggling with the script for the second movie because there's all these things and like they kept like not getting to the point of the movie 200 pages in. So but they ended up finding this compromise of like, well, if we just combine these two things, then we can have a second movie, and then you leave all this other stuff that's happening in the fourth and fifth movie, or like third and fourth movie up to the fifth, like later on, and that's, it was like boom, like they got what they wanted. But it sounds like that they condensed a lot, and maybe by condensing they also put too many things together. But in any case, it doesn't. It sounds like the whole thing is a ham sandwich. It's just,
Well,
um,
speaking of banshees,
yeah.
nice transition.
I think Martin McDonough's new movie is probably my number 3 of the year for Best Picture.
Yeah, I definitely put it in the top 3 tier, like the 3, because Jason, you shared with us earlier about like the, I guess, a memory you got that there was a, it's 2009 or something, that that the Oscars finally got it right and you were satisfied with everybody that won?
I haven't even, to be honest, I did share that memory, and I haven't even looked to see what I was so happy about. I didn't
Yeah.
follow up with it. Sorry.
No, it's okay. But basically, the Banshees. I feel like between Banshees and two other movies, there's those three movies. If either of those wins, I would be happy. Which I feel like that's the way you should be with the Oscars. You definitely should have. It's kind of like the World Cup. You need to have more than one, country you're rooting for, because there's a good chance that your favorite is not gonna win everything. You just need to be satisfied if they don't pick the complete wrong, like if they don't pick Shakespeare in Love or something.
You guys want to hear something in blasphemous?
Okay.
Um,
Always.
so not only did I feel that Banshees was McDonough's least or his least impressive film so far, I should say the one I liked the least so far. Um, while I don't, it's not like I dislike the movie. I didn't, hate it or anything like that. I didn't even put it in my top 10 of the year.
Wow, that's impressive.
I mean,
Yeah.
I get, but I don't want to sound too negative, but I had hoped it was going to be a lot better. And while the more I look back on it, the more I like it more. But I just thought it was going to be a lot funnier. And I mean, his other films have a dark sense of humor to them as well. But this one did not make me laugh like any of his other movies did. And I don't know why I just didn't connect with it the way I did his other films. I mean, the first time I ever saw In Bruges, I was laughing all the way through it. I thought it was so incredible. And then I was a little let down by Seven Psychopaths just because it was not as good of a movie, but it was definitely still very funny. And then the Billboards one I thought was a real course correction. It was like so much substance, and the several characters in the movie were so awesome and interesting, and the story is so compelling and yet still funny. Like there's still really good moments of humor throughout such a serious movie, and this one, I've talked to a lot of other people who said that they loved it, and some people who thought they did think it was very, very funny. And I thought it had a lot of dark humor in it, but I just didn't connect with the film.
It's very dark. Very dark.
It's very dark. Yeah, I mean,
Pitch
spoiler
black.
alert, there's a guy throwing fingers at a door. But anyway, yeah, it's
Yeah.
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 Well, yeah, I
Um,
guess Matt, since you brought it up, like, what do you think are the compelling parts about it? I guess to
Well,
contrast with Jason.
I mean, I think the thing that resonates so much with me is that it's a story of obsession, like turned on its head. I mean, we're used to uh people being obsessed with wanting somebody and the person not wanting them back. I mean, like stalkers or,
Like a romantic type of thing.
right, right. And this is a story about somebody who is obsessed with not wanting somebody. A person who is obsessed with just, I want to be alone. Just leave me alone.
Well, not even
And
alone. He doesn't want
yeah,
him
right.
specifically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which is even worse.
And
um,
it's just such a creative avenue, and it's a fascinating exploration. It's yeah, I was just gripped by the entire movie the entire time.
yeah, I totally understand why Jason and some others have had a negative reaction to it, because it does have some, whether it's pacing or the off-kilt tone of it, it's 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 not very winning.
Yeah.
per se. But exactly as some sort of like exercise in storytelling, like the idea of taking this thing, which is not really a very realistic thing that you can imagine really happening in real life, but it's almost like some sort of like Brothers Grimm type of like I don't know, like or a folk tale, like something that's just very exaggerated story for the sake of making a point. Um, and it's tough to sustain for like that long of it. Works with short films or short stories, but once you expand it to a feature length, um, it's it's got to go a bit farcical, and it doesn't hit for everybody. But for me personally, watching it, I was like, yeah, this is one of the most creative movies of the year. I mean, everything everywhere all at once, which is like the elephant in the room. Obviously, that movie is incredibly creative, but in
Yeah.
a Requiem for a Dream MTV generation type of like, we'll fit as many cuts as we can fit in this like hour and a half type of way. Whereas this movie is like the complete opposite.
Mhm.
It's slow down, earlier time, like there's no technology. There's just these people on an island, and what's the meaning of all this? What's the point of living? And all these like existential questions, but wrapped around this ridiculous premise that this guy is going to cut his fingers if his best friend stops being his best friend. Not only stop being his best friend, but just never talk to him again, which is such an extreme thing to ask.
Yeah.
Um, I just, I just don't know. How do you even come up with that idea? That's like
I don't know.
what's really unique about this movie. And that's why I feel like it's probably better than Psychopath. I'm not sure if it's definitely better than that. I would even borderline Three Billboards was just solid through and through, so it would be tough for me to rank it above that. But
Yeah.
but yeah, like I feel like those three movies, like In Bruges and these two other ones, I feel like are almost on par, like in a different way, completely different way too, which is
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
to his
I mean,
credit.
when I
I
say
mean,
that, I should
right.
specify that even though I own the DVD, I haven't rewatched Seven Psychopaths since we saw it in the theaters. So I might feel differently if I were to rewatch it, and if I were to rewatch Banshees as well.
But I mean, the bottom line though for me is that as far as I'm concerned, Martin McDonough is one of those guys that like if he has a movie out, I'm gonna see it. I mean, there's just
Absolutely,
no
Yeah.
way I'm gonna miss it. I mean,
without a doubt.
he is consistently really good.
Yeah,
So
even all the negative stuff I just said about this movie,
yeah,
in no question, if he had another movie coming out this next week, I would be watching it without a doubt.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess Elvis. So did both of you saw Elvis?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I fell asleep a couple of times, but
Oh my God.
I watched it.
It is a bit long. So a
It's
lot of
definitely
And
long, but
Baz Luhrmann died for me the moment he picked up a digital camera. I mean, his movies were garish when he was shooting on film. Ever since he started shooting digitally, everything looks plastic. It's like eye bleed sharp. It's just gross. It's awful. I mean it just drives me in fucking insane. His
and
movies do
I
not
think it
look good.
won best cinematography at the ASC.
Yeah, and fuck them. I mean, it's just wrong. And
wow.
Mandy Walker is a talented cinematographer, but I mean, holy Jesus, Jew, dial it back a bit. Damn, it's just not a good look.
I
Uh,
Yeah.
mean, I'm not gonna try to, you know, say all that, but I do agree that I don't think it was a good looking movie. I think that the power of the movie obviously is in the performance. and you know, he carries the movie, Austin Butler. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, he's what you're there to see for sure.
Yeah, I guess he's nominated for best actor.
Yes, I believe he is. I'll just double check real quick. I think it's at the very top of this page here.
A supporting leading role.
Yes.
Yeah, Austin Butler. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he definitely not that I've seen all the performances, but he definitely carries the movie. Like his performance is just solid. I don't think it's like I'm not sure if it's yeah, like Oscar worthy solid, but it's just it would be so easy to fail at that. Like that's what I would say is that
Yeah.
like playing
I
someone
was
like Elvis would be so easy to mess up, and he didn't.
I was really impressed. I think he's got incredible presence, and he's going to be he's going to be playing Fade in the second half of the Dune movie coming up soon. And my friend and I were joking about how we were like, I think at this point we're pretty much rooting for him to win. You know, what I mean.
What, best actor? Or?
No, sorry. That was sort of esoteric joke.
Oh, you mean
Where at the end of
in
the
the
movie,
movie?
him and Timothy Chalamet are going to fight to the death, and
Oh,
we're like, yeah, this guy's great.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't. I can't.
Did either of you
yeah.
were either of you bothered by because a lot of people are like say that like I don't know like Tom Hanks's performance is really
Oh,
off-putting in that movie.
Tom Hanks should not do accents.
Yeah, I mean I think he was
I,
he was not great for sure. He's too recognizable to play something that strange,
yeah.
but I think he was supposed to be objectionable to some degree, so he nailed that.
Right.
I've heard. I mean, Matt and I talked about it a bit way back when the movie came out. I've heard other people talk about it. I definitely agree with you that there's I've heard a number of people discuss his character and how they felt about it. I didn't really have a problem with it myself. I more had a issue with just kind of the movie itself. But I mean, Tom Hanks's role. When I saw the trailer and I saw what a crazy character he was playing, such a non-Tom Hanks character, I was really excited to see Tom Hanks's performance as well. And at the end of the movie, I was just Austin Butler was all I really cared about. I didn't really care one way or the other about Tom Hanks's performance.
Yeah, and maybe he was a bit of a distraction. Maybe it would have helped even more the movie if it wasn't Tom Hanks. You know,
Maybe,
I can see that argument.
perhaps.
Uh, yeah, because then it would be all about Austin Butler. But yeah, it's basically kind of like a performance movie for sure.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not much like it's okay, it's serviceable, but the actual filmmaking like Buzz Luhrmann does have an issue. All his movies are a bit too much fluff and not much more.
Weren't you guys the one that said it? I think we were talking about Boz Lerman at one point, and I think on this podcast or something, and I I was trying to say how I felt about him, and I was like, Boz Lerman, and one of you guys just jumped and said his movies are annoying or something like that. And I was like, yes, that's it. His movies annoy me.
Yeah, yeah, they're just annoying. Like they've always been annoying ever since like the Romeo and Juliet one. I feel like
I love Romeo and Juliet, but I have to admit it's an annoying movie.
yeah, he's annoying, and you know, and like what kind of like and sort of like the JJ way of like I wasn't a Star Trek fan, I didn't even like it, you know, like when he did The Great Gatsby, he said he didn't read the book. So I hope he read it after he committed to making the movie, but he might
I,
have not. He might have just read the script and just said, "Yeah, sure, I'll direct it."
as long as since you brought that up, I have to at least say this much for Elvis. The way they kind of modernized the music every now and then in different moments, I did feel like it worked a little better in Elvis than it did in The Great Gatsby. I didn't think that what they did with the music in that one really worked that much for me.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but yeah, maybe I should. I did finish reading that book a while back, like not too long ago. But it's a short book. um,
So, are we going to move on to the best movie of the year?
I guess so. So is it? I guess that's the question.
It's my pick.
Yeah, it's definitely would be the most satisfying one because it's also such a weird movie to win an Oscar. Although in recent years they've picked Moonlight and a few other like small movies.
Yeah, but in a way, I'm not going to take credit for this. Somebody else said this to me, and it's I had not thought about it until they did. It's not just that it's like you said, Moonlight. It's not just that. This is not just like an indie film, almost kind of winning the Oscar. It's not just like this movie is almost a foreign film. It's almost an indie film. It's almost a martial arts film. It's like it's a comedy. When was the last time we had a comedy win the Academy Award? Or like win the Best Picture. I mean, it's kind of like there's a lot of things that's awesome about this movie, that it's kind of covers so many. It has so many overlapping Venn diagram circles.
And I guess that's why the title is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, my reaction to it, because I had high expectations when I was sitting to watch it, and the first half of the movie, I was slightly annoyed, not in a Buzz Luhrmann sort of way, but just I felt like it was a bit too much at times. Like some of it was like, I don't know if I'm clicking with this just right, and the tone didn't feel just right, and the characters. But then as it kept going and going, it kind of wins you over. Like by the midway point, I was just taking by it, and I was just going along for the ride. And I did. I was gonna do a post on Facebook, but I was like, after watching it, I was like, who would have thought that in 1 year we would have two scenes where someone is on someone else's shoulders and running in an action sequence.
Oh wow, yeah.
It's like when I saw that, it's like there's no way that in 1 year two movies did that to such an extreme extent. Like there's just anyways, but yeah, no, it's I do think that, and maybe that's just the purpose of that movie, is that it's got some issues with it in the beginning, but then because there's so much in there and it's so creative, it kind of just sticks to landing. And by the end of it, it was like, okay, I get it. Like I do appreciate this, but it wasn't. It was shaky for me in the beginning.
I don't want to like.
Sorry, just in case anybody listens to this and doesn't know what we're talking about, it's Everything Everywhere All at Once. We actually haven't mentioned the title yet.
Oh yeah, haven't we?
No, we haven't.
Thank you, Matt. I was just gonna say I don't know what I should and shouldn't say about this movie, because if anyone hasn't seen it, I heavily recommend going and seeing it in any way, shape, or form that you can, because I think it was like the best movie going experience I had of the year. And I don't want to talk about the stuff I loved so much, because they're like such pivotal moments in the movie. But I mean, it's just really, really crazy, like just batshit crazy movie. And it all, to me, it really all worked. I do feel the same way you do, Gil, but I think to a lesser extent, because I don't think it took me about half the movie to jump in. I was a little concerned with how it started. And just as soon as they start the whole universe hopping stuff, I was cautiously on board. And then pretty much by the moment that they describe the rules and they say that you have to, in order to jump into another personality or body or whatever it is that they did you have to perform the most bizarre act that you possibly could or something like that. As soon as they explained those rules, I started seeing all these little things that they started doing, and I just completely fell in love with the movie. And I don't think that was more than about 20 minutes in, really. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, I definitely have some issues with it. like that don't make too much sense. Like, why is it that this family is so pivotal and they play all these, important roles and different universes? It's a bit far-fetched. But again, similar to Banshees, as a storytelling exercise, by the end of it, you're happy that you've gone through it. Um, yeah, so this and Banshees, I do feel like are also similar to some degree. Um, yeah, so I would be happy if it won for sure. It's nice that a quirky movie like that would you know.
Yeah, honestly, it's Everything Everywhere All at Once or one other movie that is nominated that I'm just kind of bouncing back and forth on that I want to win. And the other one we have not discussed yet, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So I'm assuming Tar or Top Gun.
I'm assuming one of
talk.
those as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll let
A lot of people like Top
the
Gun. A lot of people said Top Gun was the
yeah
best one.
yeah
Top Gun was great. It was in my top 4.
yeah.
I was gonna say the only other thing I'll say, because like I said, there's like 6 or 7 moments that I think were incredible in this movie. But once again, huge spoilers, and if you haven't seen it, but like
Best use of a fanny pack in a movie
that
ever.
might be true. I was just gonna say, if I think I'll just say this much because it might be esoteric enough that it doesn't ruin anything for anybody if they haven't actually seen it. But I think the greatest cinematic moment of of 2022 is Rakakudi. The moment that happened, that's all I'm going to say. The moment that happened, I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, there was nobody in the whole row with me. I was in a theater with maybe 20 other people at best. And I just about lost my mind. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I couldn't believe how happy I was to see it. I just, my entire life might have changed in that moment. I mean, and that's only like one of 7 moments that were powerful. That was by far the most powerful, but it was like, the fact that meant so much to the movie, and it wasn't just like a throwaway joke, that it was like pivotal to the movie. I was like, oh my
Yeah, they
God,
ran with it literally.
these guys, thank you, literally. Yes, they did. I mean, this movie was just, oh God. All right. Anyway, moving on.
No, but yeah, and
Spielberg. Let's get
all,
to Spielberg.
wait. Before we get to, it's good to Matt says like to make sure when he was doing this whole thing of like making sure that we know the reference that we're talking about this movie. I also would like to mention that the scene about the over the shoulders thing is comparing it to RRR.
Yes,
Which was the other completely over the top. Well, I know but just
awesome
others.
movie.
But yeah, like and I did see RRR before I saw this one.
Yes.
That I felt like everybody was like complaining that Hollywood doesn't know how to make an over the top fun crazy movies. Like they just did. I mean, like this is it. Like I guess it was made at the same time, or I guess RRR yeah, made like the year earlier, but just became big here. But in any case, it's possible. Yeah. So it's for that alone, I think because RRR is not nominated.
Well, let me just before we move on, since you brought up RRR, I was just going to say that was one of at least a dozen really fascinating things I saw in that video I told you guys about. It was saying that even though RRR, I'm so happy it got nominated for best song because I think it should win for best song. And
I think they might perform it at the Oscars.
I hope
so. The best
that
one.
nacho as I call it, I know I'm mispronouncing it. That's what I call it. That was like the best part of that movie. It was so good. But no, I just was thinking that video, I did not know this, and so it was an interesting little tidbit that just said foreign films, like other foreign countries with non-English speaking films, are only allowed to submit one film to the Oscars for best picture contention or whatever. And so that's the reason why, that's probably one of the reasons why RRR wasn't even nominated, because they sent a different movie.
Um,
I don't know which one, but India sent some other movie
but it could be nominated for different
for best picture. Yeah.
but be nominated for like other categories. Just
Oh,
not Best
I'm
Picture.
pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure other
Yeah.
categories are fine, but yeah, or maybe not best picture, maybe best international film. Maybe, I guess. I don't know. They didn't
yeah.
go into they did go into details, but not that much detail. But anyway, I just felt like mentioning that because yeah, it's such a good movie. But I guess that it's one of the. It's not that it got snubbed, but there's just these rules that they have that
Yeah.
prevent all these little stickler rules, and stuff.
Yeah, which at the same time, as much as I like that movie, it's not an Oscar type of movie. Unlike Everything Everywhere All at Once, it doesn't have this deeper thematic thing to it. I mean, there is for sure because it's got the revolution and everything about it. But
Yeah,
it's
no,
it's more of a jokey
yeah.
movie than Everything Everywhere All at Once. Everything had like heart, like it was really like the type of Little Miss Sunshine.
It was
like
amazing. Let's just say
you know,
that
like,
it was amazing.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's still, I'm just happy that that Everything Everywhere All at Once got nominated.
Me too.
I mean, it's just a great movie, like all the way through.
It's another one of those where you're like, how do you like what, like how do you do that?
What is
Yeah.
your elevator pitch for this?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my God. Seriously.
No, but which segue, I guess, to Spielberg, because
Yes.
Spielberg interviewed the director of RRR, and
Oh, what?
they interviewed each other for something, and he was like, "Listen, first of all, I loved your movie, and we need to sit down off camera." And you need to tell me how you did this scene and that scene. Spielberg just wanted to pick his brain how he even accomplished those scenes. So yeah, it's good. It's good that in the year
Yeah.
2023 we're still making surprising ourselves with movies. I mean,
Yeah.
people really go down on like the state of movies and blah blah blah, but there's a few good ones a year. You can't really complain.
Yeah.
But the Fablemans. What was your reaction?
I think it's a gorgeous film. I think it's easily one of the best of the year. It is not one of Steven Spielberg's best, but I was compelled through the entire almost 3 hour run of the movie. I thought it was gorgeously photographed. I thought I really identified with the character for a lot of reasons. I mean, just that scene where uh, he has he has this girlfriend, and he's been working with a Bolex, and she says like, my dad has this camera. It's like an arrow or what? Like I don't know, something like that. Like your dad has an Aeroflex. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's me at 16. Yeah, that would be me.
Oh,
Yeah, so I yeah, I love that movie in so many ways. It's it, and in a lot of years it would be my pick for best picture, but this year we just had a few better movies.
Jason.
I liked it. I When I saw the trailer though, I thought it was going to be the best movie of the year, and I was a little let down by it a little bit. But I want to stress the little part. I mean, I did really like it a lot. I For being a movie about his, kind of a fictional version of his life, but also not fictional. I mean, I just could have used more filmmaking. Like we really just got once he got a camera and starts going. I mean, we got the little war thing, and we got the family vacation thing, and then we got the school thing. Like I could have used like 5 or 6 big things of him making movies and how each one affected him slightly along his journey. You know, I mean, it's a movie about filmmaking. I could have used more filmmaking. I also could have used more Judd Hirsch. I could have used more David Lynch, you know, and maybe a little bit more Seth Rogen. I think all these like little supporting characters throughout are some of the best things in the movie. And I could have used a little bit more of them.
Yeah, no, it's in a similar way to in a similar way, I guess, to the similarities to Everything Everywhere and also Avatar to some degree. The whole at the core of them, it's this family dynamic, like family drama, essentially, of those movies. But I feel like in the Fablemans, it leaned a bit too much on it, that it forgot that it's about one, if not the greatest, at least technician, definitely one of the greatest, technician of the art of filmmaking, but the the ball possession, as they say in soccer, was like 70-30, where it should have been at least 50-50, if not even 60-40 to the filmmaking. Like I wanted this whole movie to be from his point of view, and how everything sort of represents. It needed to be like Mulholland Drive, where like, or like one of these movies where like everything that's in the, or Wizard of Oz, where like everything that's in his life is moments from his movies. How he came up with a shot in Jurassic Park, how he came up with E.T., how he came up with like, like these like little trinkets of like how, but instead of being that, it's just a family drama. And with the few little bit of like Spielberg sprinkled like moments, but almost like fan service, but not really going all the way and just making it about creativity, which this movie is not about creativity. It's about a family that happens to have a very creative kid within it, and it leans about it a bit too much, I guess, because he's the subject of the movie. But it's not about that. Like that's the issue. But it's done really well. It's serviceable, but yes, not one of his best. And yeah, I honestly I wouldn't consider it a best picture worthy winner in most years, but specifically this year, because like you said, there's at least, I mean, I would definitely the top three that I have, which is like at this point we know like Banshees, Everything, and Tar. I would put over that one.
Yeah.
But not, I guess there's no other one that I saw that I would put it ahead of. So yeah. I mean, like, yeah. So it would be fourth, I guess, for me in this list. So that's not terrible.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, I guess Tar. So
Unfortunately, I have not seen it. I really,
Oh yeah,
I really wanted to though.
So sell Jason on Tar.
So Tar, for me, okay, a large part of me is rooting for Everything Everywhere All at Once to win. And genuinely thinks that it's the best movie of the year. There's also a large part of me that thinks that Tar needs to win this year. And it's because of the actual subject matter of the fucking movie. It actually deals with a really big elephant in the room, which is, cancel culture and talented people being dragged through the mud through out of context situations on social media, and how you have to kind of navigate this new territory. I I think that Tar is a brilliantly made movie. I think that it has one of the best singular scenes. No, it has the best singular scene of any movie of the year by far. especially especially as it culminates toward the end of the movie. how everything adds up, there is a large part of me that really wants Tar to win Best Picture this year, and it's not just because I think it's a great movie. It's also because I think it needs to win.
By the way, I was wondering if I even had it right when you posted this online, but the scene you're referring to is the master class scene.
Yeah, the one unbroken shot
Yeah, the
scene
when
where
she's like doing a master class in like
yeah,
in a music school or something.
yeah,
Yeah, no, definitely. That's if especially not to mention in the age of like, look at me, I can do a oneer. Like everybody does a oneer now because it's digital and it's easy, and there's and there's gimbals and stuff and all these devices that people can um I was like, oh, finally somebody used it for a very good reason thematically.
yeah.
It's like it
Right,
was basically one of
exactly.
the best uses of a oneer, and the best payoff later in the movie that I've seen in years. It's like, yeah, and this is like the closest one that I can think of is Boogie Nights. I mean,
Yeah,
the opening of Boogie Nights is the last one that I can think of that was just very consequential. Um, but yeah, no, it's at the same time, I think Tar, much like the other two top ones, like Banshees and Everything Everywhere, I feel like it's suffers. They don't all suffer from a pacing issue, but it's what it is. It's maybe it's a bit too much of what it is. Banshees didn't feel long, but I feel like especially Tar and then I said All Quiet on the Western Front, definitely Elvis, but Tar I felt like, especially because it's a character study movie, could have been shorter. I mean, that was like 3 hours almost, and I feel like for a character study where there's very few characters, you could have made it tighter and probably would have gotten a better movie. But I think Todd Field kind of just went all out for it, and he had like Final Cut and all this stuff, or so he kind of just did his own thing there and let loose. Um, so yeah, I think it suffered a bit from that, and also approaching that subject through the eyes of a conductor and stuff. I totally understand why I do that, because it's such an elitist type of thing. But to explore, especially
yeah,
because of her, some of the deeper roots and everything and what's going on there, like imposter syndrome and all these themes that are explored there about creativity and stuff. It was just a bit like too much at times, and it didn't nail it completely, which is why I do agree that Everything Everywhere just had less flaws. But as far as importance, yes, and it is very much an Oscar movie. Like if it won, you can't be upset with them picking that over Everything Everywhere because it's a serious movie that really is appropriate for the times. Um, yeah, and it's very masterfully done, even though it's got some pacing issues and all these things. But yeah,
yeah,
it's not an easy. It's also a tough watch. It's also I feel like in that category of like it's not super easy to sit through, but it pays off well. It really pays off, and the ending is kind of out of like left field and in an interesting sort of way. Yeah.
yeah.
I plan to see it
If,
probably tomorrow or
yeah.
the day after.
Well, if anything, I think that Tar might actually be. I've been thinking about this for years, but it might actually be a really good argument for just having a category of just best scene. Like, just make a category of, like, the rest of your movie might have been shit, but holy fuck, this one scene just stands out. I mean, Quentin Tarantino would have a desk full of Oscars if it were just like like best scene.
Yeah, no, but I heard somewhere they're saying there should be a category for like best swing to the fences, because they're
Yeah,
they're talking about like Babylon and how I didn't see it, but like that it's it didn't get
it's good.
nominated or anything. Yeah, that it's like it's an uneven movie, but that the fact that he just really swung for the fences, and but I feel like Tar is another movie that and everything everywhere that really just put it all out there and didn't fail. It actually
Yeah.
flew. Especially everything everywhere, I feel like just took off. Yeah. Or Tar is a more
Uh,
subdued movie, but still pretty masterfully done.
all right. Speaking of taking off, Top Gun.
Yeah. So you tell me, because I was like, I was telling Dan, I was like, why do you want to see that movie? Did you even see the original? I was like, yeah, of course I saw the original. I mean, I was a kid back then. um,
uh, so I got two of the segues. But now, Top Gun Maverick is one of those things that it actually pains me to say that it's not my pick for Best Picture, but I mean it is. I think it is the greatest piece of entertainment that we've had this year. Probably, in fact, in several years. Uh, and it's kind of the Christopher Nolan thing. Even though Christopher Nolan wasn't involved, they actually flew the fucking planes. They minimized the CGI. They uh it was just broad, beautiful fucking entertainment from wall to wall. And and again, PG-13 and using the F word in the exact point that you use an F word in a PG-13 movie.
It was probably top 10.
Yeah.
To be clear, top 10 times where a PG-13 movie has managed to use that precise profanity just right in their one allotment that they get.
Right. Yeah.
But no, I was just gonna say I think it's the thing that I think was so crazy about this movie is that in this time now where we're getting all these shitty legacy sequels over and over and over again, I was completely wrong about this movie when they were just showing teasers of it and that was it, and nobody had even seen it yet. There were no reviews out or anything like a year ago, over a year ago, I should say. I was openly talking about how stupid it was that we were doing this movie this late, and that it was just gonna be a terrible idea for a movie. And boy, was I wrong. Like, I just cannot believe how much better it was than I thought it would be. It's so much better.
Yeah. I mean, it's far better than the original, and I mean, the original was pretty.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Uh,
whoa, whoa.
okay.
yeah,
Well,
that's what I'm wondering about, because because it's kind of like I feel like Blade Runner 2049. So
it's a very good comparison to that.
Yeah.
I
Or
just
it's like a legendary movie ends up being outdone by its sequel.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I mean, Matt's entitled to his opinion, obviously, but I just think it's really damn good.
Yeah.
And you know what it is? Top Gun Maverick is so much better than it had any business being.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, and
but the thing is, it's all in how it was actually made. I mean, the story is kind of pedestrian in a lot of ways. It's nothing groundbreaking, but they made the decision to actually fly the freaking planes. They made the decision to actually train the actors to operate the cameras that were in the cockpits. They, they 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 went all out on this to actually create an experience, and uh, and also like freaking Tom Cruise. I mean, Scientology shit aside, this guy is the last real action star that we're ever going to have. And he's 60. We're going to lose him pretty soon in terms of action star. Let's enjoy him while we still have him. The guy is freaking insane.
Well, he definitely is crazy. I mean, I was gonna say I definitely would be one of the first people to praise the movie for all the stuff you just said about doing things practically, doing things right, doing things for real as much as humanly possible. But
Uh-huh.
I mean, I think if this movie was a big CGI fest that was just really, really great CGI, like you know, you know, stuff that would look completely realistic and stuff with the exact same story, it still would have been a hit. I still think I think it's just uh I would say that the secret sauce is just that they managed to make a sequel with the character and everything, and it was something that nobody really knew they wanted to see, but then once you start watching it, you're like, this is pretty damn good. It's like they managed to tell a story. Well, I don't want to give away too much, but it works. It's a good, like you said, it's not anything that's like change your life groundbreaking in terms of the kind of story it is, but it works. It's like it just I didn't think it would, but it does. It really works.
Yeah, I mean, the entire last mission is basically the trench run at the end of A New Hope.
They don't.
Uh,
I don't even think they're trying to hide it. Like it's
yeah,
like
right.
embarrassing. It's almost embarrassing how Star Wars it is at the end. But like,
But it's
you
just
know,
cool. It's just
Miles Teller.
cool.
Miles Teller really brings it in this movie. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
I hope everybody already knew who Miles Teller was, but after this year, I really hope that they at least know who he is. Like, he should be a household name.
yeah.
Yeah, it seems like he's definitely having a year. Yeah, so I guess from coming down from that high, we have to go down to the triangle of sadness.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, but as far as Top Gun, I was gonna say something about it, but I forgot. Oh yeah, one thing that Maverick will not have on the original ever is that it will never top being spoofed by a Team America
Oh,
in the way it did.
yeah. I mean,
Well,
and
they can
Hot
always
Shots.
make a sequel.
And Hot Shots. Yeah, yeah. Who knows? Maybe it will inspire them. Yeah, and Tom Cruise, I mean, it's funny because you make a big fuss about him because especially Matt, I know, is a big fan of the Mission Impossible movies. I haven't seen almost any of them. I think I eventually saw the one that Brad Bird directed, maybe the fourth one it was.
That was the fourth
And
one.
and I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's an action movie. I don't like, they don't interest me that much. There's nothing very out of the ordinary about it or like tremendous about it. I mostly watched it because I liked The Incredibles and I was like, an animation director made an action movie. That's interesting. But yeah, to me, Tom Cruise, I wish he was making more serious movies. I don't know. I feel like he's a talented actor and he had a good run in the 80s and 90s. Why only can't you do both? It's like,
Yeah, I mean, I love this movie, and I wouldn't have wanted him to not do it, but I do agree with you. Really, I could really use another Collateral performance out of him.
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
Although,
I mean,
I
love Tom Cruise as a sociopath. I love Tom Cruise as, Tropic Thunder too. I mean,
Les
like,
Grossman.
yeah.
Les Grossman.
I mean, but but I mean, that's the thing. Like, I mean, how 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 many roles has Tom Cruise played where you don't actually love him doing whatever the fuck he's doing? I mean, like, okay, he's holding on to the side of a plane while it's taking off, and he's doing it for real at one point, but like, he's also playing Vincent in Collateral, or he's playing Les Grossman in Tropic Thunder, and like, the guy just has a certain charisma that he exudes in everything that he does, and you just have to love and respect that. I mean, I would totally have sex with him if I were a woman or gay, but
Uh,
uh,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it is a curious thing because there's people like Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. It's interesting because they are really. I mean, George Clooney to some degree was, but I don't feel like to the same degree as those two, that are really just, can do whatever they want, and then just made completely different choices, and both of them made odd choices. Like Brad
yeah,
Pitt is not really a full-time actor, and then Tom Cruise is
yeah.
mostly doing entertainment movies because he's just got this whole thing of being an entertainer and maximizing the amount of money he can make so he can, I don't know, donate it to
Uh,
Scientology. I don't know what's his master plan, but
I think that Tom Cruise is just the most entrepreneurial of those guys. But
no, I mean Brad Pitt is a big producer. He
no,
likes to produce movies and
I'm not denying that for a moment. I just think that Tom Cruise is more entrepreneurial. Uh,
in a different way. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
making big money movies, yeah, big action movies, yeah, but it's a
yeah,
shtick, yeah. Like they both have their shtick, like, but yeah, it's funny that when very famous creative people that can do pretty much anything they want, um, choose these very different, things to do. I mean, George Clooney also basically stopped acting for the most part, and he does philanthropy work and stuff. Like he's not even involved in movies very much. I'll have the occasional movie, but I just find it interesting.
I feel like Brad Pitt's movie got totally overlooked this year.
What Bullet?
Bullet Train was
Bullet
great.
Train?
It was a great movie.
I haven't seen it, but it
This is in
seemed
my
like a
top 10.
fun movie. It
It was
is.
very fun. That's the
Good.
word for it. It's very fun. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to oversell it. It's just, it was very fun. It was a very fun movie.
So it was not a triangle of sadness.
It was not a triangle of sadness. No. Yeah. I mean, thank you for bringing it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple sad scenes in it, but no, it's a
No.
very reaffirming film, I feel.
Yeah.
I
It's funny.
wish I had seen Triangle of Sadness.
I guess we all wish we would have seen triangles. but if we can't say too much about it, which now we should be feel guilty and just really watch it, which I will actually in the next couple of days. But the
yeah. I've got the day off on Friday. I'll probably watch the other two. So
yeah, but Women Talking, I guess, which is the last one, is not far off from Triangle of Sadness. Um, it's uh, it's actually similar to a couple of movies on this list because I feel like it's similar to All Quiet on the Western Front, that it was tough to sit through, but it's also similar to Banshees to some degree because it's an unrealistic movie, even though it's very plausible, but and it's very play-like, even though it's based on a book, not a play. I don't know if there's a play based on it, but yeah, it's mostly in one location, and it's about women um, talking, like trying to make a big decision. Like they live in this community that,
Appropriate title.
yeah. So both of you haven't seen it, right?
No.
right.
Yeah. So they live in this community. I guess it was in Bolivia or something. This what do you call them? The Mennonites. The ultra
Uh-huh.
religious kind of
Yeah.
loners, and
Right. Yeah. Why did the Amish girl get shunned?
yeah.
Too Mennonite.
Oh wow.
To bring it back to sadness. No, but it's basically apparently the men there run amok and they rape and abuse all the women and children,
Yeesh.
and so um, the women kind of gather in this barn and have this very long play-like essentially discussion um, about what to do, whether they should leave or whether they should stay, and struggling with their like religious beliefs and all this stuff, and it's not a very and it actually says in the beginning of the movie that it's what happened next is female imagination, meaning that it's not known per se whether this actually it is based on a true story, but whether this actually happened is not really um you know unknown. It's more like if this would happen, this would have been nice. And the whole thing becomes sort of like in the Me Too era. It feels like it's a bit of a metaphor for just what women have gone through in history and how they haven't had a voice and haven't had this and were abused in many ways, and and how them discussing it, they weren't educated until a certain point in history. These women also were illiterate and uneducated. Only the men got educated. And so the whole thing feels kind of like Banshees, where it's like an exercise in storytelling, and it's sort of like a situation that's an
Mhm.
excuse to explore all these aspects of the female perspective. Um, but I fell asleep, like, and I don't know. I'll try to excuse it that I was tired, but I just like we watched it over 2 nights, and both nights, either
Oh
I didn't
no.
sleep well both nights. I both twice. I almost like I was falling asleep because it's so dry, and I really feel like and people were complaining that Sarah Polley wasn't nominated because she was like, oh look, there's a female director directed like one of the Best Picture nominees, and she's not nominated for Best Director. I kind of get why she wasn't. I like her a lot. I think I mentioned to you at some point there's a documentary that she made, Stories We Tell, which you should definitely watch. Um, but um, but this one was just, even though it was such an important subject and everything, it was just so dry. It could have been done a little bit more interesting. I understand that it's a depressing subject, but it needed a little bit more lightness, to make it like a slightly easier pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But but I get it
Mm.
why it was nominated. Why they threw it a nomination. But yeah, it's a tough one.
I don't want to steer us away from it, but Gil, what you just brought up, I think really should be addressed real quick since we're talking about the Oscars. Back in after the 2007, 2008, whatever Oscar year, when everyone got rightfully upset about a lot of stuff getting snubbed because they just had, back then they had five um, possible Best Picture nominations, and it just was not a good situation. They updated the rules, which they've done many times, I think, at this point, but they decided to have a possible number of 10 or something like that. And for a while, it was that it was all about what got nominated by certain numbers, and then they would determine it could be 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 movies, depending on how things turned out. And then the very next year that there was 10, it was like that felt good to everybody because there was like the ones that got nominated, and it's like, well, they're not going to win, but at least there's a nod to them. But then every year there wasn't 10, people started complaining because they were like, well, you had 10 last year, and why did my movie not get nominated and you only had 9 this time or 8 this time whatever. And now the rule is that there's 10 no matter what. And I have to say that I really liked the idea of having 10 nominations for Best Picture because it allowed other movies to basically get recognition, even though they weren't going to win, kind of thing. That was my feeling back then. But much like with many aspects of life, even though things should be a certain way, we just can't have everything that we should have because people are stupid. And that's really what it comes down to. And it's very frustrating. But now we are now at a point where anytime some movie gets nominated for Best Picture, and then somebody loved it, and then that director doesn't get nominated for Best Director, everybody gets upset about it. And the fact is, you got to ask yourself every time that happens to one of your movies and your director who didn't get nominated, who would you bump out of those five people that got nominated for Best Director? Who do you think doesn't deserve to be there? And really, since when I say we, I don't mean, I mean the world, or everybody who complains about this stuff, since we can't be mature enough to realize that there are 10 nominations for Best Picture and only 5 nominations for Best Director. Therefore, we are going to constantly have people who are not going to get nominated. And that's just the way it is. And we should just accept that and not complain about it. Since that's never going to happen and everyone's going to keep complaining over and over and over again, really, we should just go back to having 5. I mean, it's the only way that's going to solve this problem. Because
nice things.
I,
Yeah, but then
I,
it's weird because
exactly, we can't have nice things. I love the way you said that so much
Yeah.
more concisely than I did. Yes.
Well, I don't even think that that's a solution, though. I mean, there is one of the things that I love and that I hate about the Academy Awards is that they the reality is that the nominations come generally come from people who know at least a little bit about what they're talking about. Uh, it's the winners that you know are kind of a free for all. Like when it comes to cinematography, the nominees are nominated by people who know cinematography. And, that's why Vilmos Zsigmond was nominated for cinematography for The Black Dahlia, even though that movie was a piece of shit. I mean, it was a really bad movie, but it looked gorgeous. And people in the cinematography community noticed that it looked gorgeous. So Vilmos got the nomination for that. He didn't win because the movie sucked. Uh, the thing is, we already talked about the lives of others on this podcast, and
well,
Florian
it's not gonna air
Heikel.
before, but it's okay.
Okay.
Stay tuned, everyone.
Stay tuned.
Right, but like it's a brilliant movie, but Florian Heikel von Donnersmarck didn't deserve a Best Director nomination for that. I mean, he had a great script and he directed it adequately. And he made a great movie because he had a great script and a great cast and he directed it adequately. It's not like he broke ground in how he actually decided to shoot the damn movie. Uh, that's where Spielberg is just different. Like you watch a movie like Minority Report, which was entirely overlooked at the Oscars, if I remember correctly. Like that movie is brilliantly directed, like brilliantly directed. It's hard to think of anybody doing a better directing job on a movie, but well, they it just wasn't an Oscar movie, so they didn't give him the nomination. But like everything that Spielberg directs should actually get him a nomination, because he's always top 5.
Yeah, of most given years.
Right. um, it's also kind of a crime that The Whale didn't get a nomination for Best Picture.
Yeah, I was thinking I was surprised about that one too, because it's one of my favorite movies of the year.
I haven't seen it, but it seems like it's gotten uneven reviews. But it's also kind of like Elvis. It's a performance movie, so if anything, it should have gotten that spot. But
well,
Well, let's
Brendan Fraser is nominated for
yeah,
Best
for actor. Yeah.
well,
Actor,
speaking of, let's
and he
talk
should
about
win.
those. So at the
Yeah, we should
we
wrap
don't
this up. So let's
yeah,
finish
I
all the
was gonna
categories
say
we want to do.
yeah, we don't have to spend as much time on it. We could do a lightning round thing here, but all right, best performance by a leading actor in a leading role. We've got Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell for Banshees, Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Paul Mescal for After Sun, and Bill Nye for Living. I did not see the last two of those. I saw the top 3 ones that I
Yeah.
mentioned. And to me, not just out of these 5 movies, but out of everything this entire year, I think it's a no-brainer that that Brendan Fraser should win Best Actor. I do really like Austin Butler's performance. As I said earlier, I think it's the standout thing in that movie. But Brendan Fraser moved me. I thought he was incredible.
Yeah, if Brendan Fraser doesn't win, I think it's political.
Interesting.
I mean, yeah, Brendan Fraser's performance in that movie is like Gary Oldman level, like
It's the best I've ever seen from him.
Yeah, or transformative, heartbreaking. Uh, strikes you at the core of your being.
Gary Oldman in Darkest Hour.
Yeah,
also in a
Yes.
suit.
Also, yes, indeed.
I mean, if Darkest Hour came out the same year as The Whale, I would be rooting for Brendan Fraser over Gary Oldman.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean it's not his best performance.
Sacrilege.
Yeah.
What is Gary Oldman's best performance? That's a tough one.
Oh, obviously.
We should do an episode about
you should. Stay tuned.
bonus
We're gonna
episode.
we should definitely do Gary Oldman episode.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic.
The goat.
Did you guys have Gil? Did you have a favorite that jumped out at you?
Yeah,
of those, or
I am intrigued to see Bill Nye's performance because
Me too.
because it's Ikiru, so it's a remake of Ikiru, and I
I
heard
too.
that it did it justice. It's not as good, of course. It's an all-time classic, but it seems like it was a good adaptation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't seen The Whale, but it seems to me like that performance will probably beat out anything else. I like Colin Farrell and Austin Butler, but I didn't think that they were Oscar performances per se.
Okay.
Yeah.
Performance by an actor in a supporting role. We've got Brendan Gleeson for Banshees, Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway, Judd Hirsch for The Fablemans, Barry
Keegan.
thank you, for Banshees as well, and Short Round for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Personally, I'm going to go with Short Round on this, but I did like. I love Brendan Gleeson in almost everything that he's ever done. And as I said before, I think Judd Hirsch in the one sequence that he's in is so good that I really wished he was in a lot more of The Fablemans. So I don't have any problem with him either, but winning. But my money's on Short Round, and my vote would be for him as well.
I will second that.
Yeah, it's tough for me because I don't think it was the best performance. I mean, like I think Judd Hirsch and Brendan Gleeson are better actors, and they did a better job in their respective roles. But I just think it was perfect casting. You know,
Yeah.
like it's one of those cases where you just nailed it. Like, he's like an child actor that's been, out of work for decades, like hasn't been in anything notable. So you cast him as the underachieving
Mm.
father figure.
The
I mean,
the
it's
met
like,
the meta baggage.
yeah, the baggage that comes along with it. It's it
Perfect.
makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. Which I'm not trying to put him down. Everybody struggles in their lives and they have ups
Oh,
and downs. And he still, I think, was actively acting, just not in big stuff. But
he said he talked a lot about it in the actor roundtable. He said that he was acting for a long time after the Goonies and stuff like that, but he had quit acting for a long time, like I think well over 10 years or something like that. But he came back to acting because he saw Crazy Rich Asians. He
oh
thought that
yeah,
was a really big sign that he should come back because it
that
gave him
there's
a
a
lot of hope.
chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that actually. Yeah, but it's Judge Hirsch just for the fact that he really like saved that movie to some degree. I feel like
Oh,
just
he was
deserved.
great.
And Brendan Gleeson is just, oh my God, that guy is just like a rock. He's
He's
so
always great.
solid. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like as a sympathy vote, which is probably what's going to happen, is Ki Hugh Kwan.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Um, so best performance by an actress in a leading role. We got Kate Blanchett for Tar. Still haven't seen it. Anna de Armas for Blonde. Did you guys see that? I saw it.
I
I
did
wanted
not.
to see it.
I
Yeah,
really
I
liked
didn't.
it. It's very sad, and it's not a standard biopic at all. It's very interesting the way the story is told. It's kind of a little chaotic at times, but I thought it was very good. I
Yeah,
thought she
I
was
mean,
very good.
I really should prioritize that because I've liked everything that Andrew Dominic has done, and he's taken
Mm,
nothing but shit for it.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, no,
but
I do want to
yeah,
see it. It's just that for the specific thing, I might have to. You know what? I could watch it on my own. I don't know. We'll see.
mm,
Yeah, I recommend it. I think it's good. But Andrea Riceborough in To Leslie. I've not even heard of the movie, so I don't know
mhm.
about that one. Michelle Williams in The Fablemans. She was very solid. And Michelle Yeoh in Everything Everywhere All at Once. If I had, I still need to see Tar, so it's kind of hard for me to say. Out of those three that I did see, I don't know. I could go, honestly, I could go with any of those three. I think they're all good, all very good.
I, I I I would go with it. Okay, so I think that Kate Blanchett should win. I think Michelle Yeoh will win.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah,
but
that's the way I see it too. And there was a whole controversy. Was it today or yesterday that Michelle Yeoh posted like tweeted something like an article that somebody
Oh,
wrote about how how Kate Blanchett already has an Oscar, so she doesn't need a second one or something like that.
yikes!
And she deleted it right away, but apparently it was she broke an Academy rule that you're as a nominee you're not supposed to like share anything publicly
Ah,
that's related to an opposing nominee. It's just like bad
ah,
sportsmanship of sorts. I don't know what's the rule, but yeah.
interesting.
yeah,
If Anna de Armas ever hears this, I'm also kind of just rooting for you out of my love for you. Okay. Uh, Performance by an
yeah,
actress in a supporting role. This one, oddly enough, I've seen every single performance in this one, which is unusual. Well, because out of all these other ones, I've been missing one or two people.
well,
Angela,
two of them are from the same movie, so
still, same
yeah,
thing with the other one. Anyway, whatever.
yeah,
Angela Bassett for Black Panther. Um, how do you say it? Hong Chow in The
yeah,
Whale. Carrie Condon in Banshees of Inisherin. Jamie Lee Curtis in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Stephanie Sue in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
That's
I
the
don't know about
daughter,
you.
right?
Yes, it is the daughter, I believe. I think all 5 of those are wonderful performances. Part of me kind of wants Jamie Lee Curtis to win, but I really don't know. I would be very happy with any of them taking it home.
Yeah, I'm pretty ambivalent on this one.
I mean, I think the Carrie Condon performance was outstanding. I mean, as far as like
She's so good in it. So
yeah,
good.
like I mean, she is the one of the funnier things about that movie. She's the comic relief to some degree.
In a weird way.
Yeah, because she's the straight person. She's the
Yeah, she's
around
so like you have to, as an audience, you have to cling to her character because the other 2 people who share the most screen time are just doing crazy things, stuff like you said, it's almost farcical in a sense how they are reacting to each other, the level at which how insane it is. You have to gravitate to her. She's the rock of the movie in a way.
Yeah, and there's something that Jamie Lee Curtis sort of like just from out of nowhere to
Oh man,
jump on board this movie and just like
this movie where she's gonna have sausage fingers.
exactly, like she
Yeah.
just really committed. Like she was just
Yeah,
like
she did.
to me she was Alec Guinness in A New Hope. She was
Yes.
like,
Oh my
she was
gosh.
like, I'm gonna take this super seriously. I'm gonna nail this
Oh
part. This
wow.
is no joke. And she legitimized that movie to some
Yeah.
degree.
To some degree at least. Yeah. She was so good.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
mean I that just for that alone, but yeah, I mean I'm sure all the performances were good. Um I didn't see Black Panther yet or The
It's
Whale we mentioned.
it's okay. Obviously I could talk for a lot about what problems I had with Black Panther, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Now let me just say this. This is a bizarre thing. This is completely bizarre, especially for me. This might be the only year in history that this has ever happened to me, actually. Best animated feature of the year. There are 5 nominations, and I did not see any of them.
Mm. I almost saw
Uh,
Turning Red several times. I was trying to get my kids to watch it, but they didn't want to. But I did
the
see
funny thing
Pinocchio.
is, the funny thing is, I'm trying to get my lady friend and her kid to go see Puss in Boots with me because the Critical Drinker just gave it a glowing review.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I've heard very good things about it. I just didn't get around to seeing it.
yeah. Well, it's actually pretty normal for me to not see animated movies.
It's extremely abnormal for me.
Yeah,
I I will say yeah, go ahead.
no, I'm just always reminded of this episode of the Drew Carey show where Lewis, who it was always kind of one of his stupid friends, finds out that he actually has a really high IQ, but his mom kept like making him think that he was an idiot because she didn't want it to go to his head. And he ends up going to a Mensa meeting and yeah, he he goes up to 2 people. Oh, what are you talking about? Like, oh, we were just comparing uh Kurosawa's films to Herzog's. Have you seen any? And like, are they animated? No, then I haven't seen it. Yeah, but anyway,
Yeah, it's funny you should say that
digressing.
because Del Toro, much like I guess what's his face, the director of Parasite, Bong Joon.
Yeah,
I forgot his name, but in any case, much like what he said when he won the Oscar and said, like, if only you the few inches and read the subtitles, it would open up a whole world of great movies that you could watch in the whole thing that he said. As Del Toro also this year kind of said about how I think because he wanted the Golden Globe, and his speeches said that animation is not a it's not a medium for kids movies. It's a medium, like it's a different way of telling a story.
Yeah.
And and he really nails it with the Pinocchio movie, because like it's about a wooden boy, and it's essentially like all puppets. It's all
Yeah.
like he really took the whole thing very literally, kind of like Team America, but in a
Yeah.
serious way. But he also just goes to town with that story. Like he really like revamps the whole story, and it's not perfect, but it's most likely gonna win. Although I heard good things about Marcel the Shell with shoes on.
Yeah. Although that one, they bent the rules of that one, because according to the Academy, it does not qualify as an animated movie, but they decided to make some exceptions for it.
Oh, I see. I haven't seen it, but
I haven't seen
yeah,
it either.
I only
Yeah.
saw Pinocchio. But also, I would briefly mention that, and then I want to ask Matt the last question. But I did see in the international movies, the All Quiet on the Western Front is nominated, but also I saw the Argentina 1985,
Hmm.
which was very good, but it's kind of like a bit of a TV movie, feels like. So I wonder if probably it's only going to be one of those years where All Quiet is going to win, because if it's nominated for Best Picture, it obviously should win Best International Feature. But I also that EO movie, the one with the donkeys, that sounds the Polish one sounds very interesting, but I haven't gotten around to
Yeah.
Yeah.
watching it. Um,
Um,
oh yeah,
yeah.
I was going to ask Matt. So cinematography, who are you rooting for?
This is actually a weird year where I haven't seen all all of them.
Who are you?
I
Where's Matt?
yeah. Uh,
Shame.
Shame,
Shame.
shame.
I mean, I I'm gonna have to go with Roger Deakins. I mean, Empire of Light wasn't. I mean, Empire of Light is kind of like uh the Black Dahlia in terms of cinematography for me, and that it's not a great movie, but holy fuck, is it shot gorgeously. My second pick would be All Quiet on the Western Front, and then Tar would be third. Um, I haven't seen the movie that Darius Kanji shot, but I mean Kanji is reliably freaking good. So
Yeah, I
uh,
wanted to watch it actually. It's just because of the so-so reviews we ended up watching the Argentina movie.
yeah,
Um
Was it
yeah.
good?
But the Argentina movie, yeah, I told you. It's kind of like a very 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 good TV movie, felt like.
Oh,
But
right. You did say that. Sorry.
yeah. But Bardo,
Um,
I mean, because it's in Yuritu, I want to see it, and it looks very trippy. Looks like it might be a
yeah.
good cinematography movie, but and I haven't seen Empire of Light, but I feel to me like Tar is a very understated movie. Like
yeah,
and the Roger Deakins, DNA of sorts, like where it looks effortless, but it's actually just really well done. The
yeah,
atmosphere, the lighting, the use of color, the shading and stuff. Like it's very just very solid. But yeah, I haven't seen all of them to you know.
Well, what do you guys think about the directing category?
Oh yeah, that should be the last one then.
If we're going to do that last, let me just
So
chime in, and then we
what
can.
else? Oh, I will
Um,
say,
we
well,
don't need to go
by the
into
way,
every single one,
one
but
thing is like one category that cannot be fucked is that film editing needs to go to Everything Everywhere All at Once, because I just don't see any way that like anybody had better editing than what that movie had.
I
If
completely
there's
agree.
yeah,
nothing else about that movie that's solid, is the editing.
The editing is spectacular in that. Yes. Um, I did not get to see all of them, but last night I did watch All That Breathes, Thanks to Matt helping me out with that. But I just wanted to say it is the single most cinematic documentary I've ever seen in my entire life.
All right.
Yeah, I recommend it. And then the only other thing I wanted to say before you get to the last bit was, obviously I already said the best song should go to Nacho Nacho for RRR. Production design, I am angry that Everything Everywhere All at Once isn't there, because like, I don't want to give away too much, but like, I remember watching that movie before everything jumps off, and like staring at the background while Jamie Lee Curtis is droning on to them about all these things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the 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 production designer has these trophies on the back of her desk that look like butt plugs.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is bizarre. And then she pulls them out and uses the trophy in a scene, just explaining how good their little firm is. And like going, you see what we've won several times over. And I was like, oh, they did it on purpose, because it's like kind of like they're assholes, like they're dicks, and they're being dicks to these people, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, oh, and then again, I don't want to give anything away, but when this movie goes crazy and they do a callback, I was like, my mind is blown. This movie just did something unbelievable with that. I mean, just, oh my gosh, fight sequence. It's just, all right. That's all I was going to say. But no, yeah, that movie should be at least nominated for Best Production Design, and it didn't even get nominated. So that's just a sad.
Yeah,
bit,
they tend to favor the period pieces,
Yeah.
and I feel like you could have, like, you had so many period pieces in there, you probably could have like skipped Elvis or the Fablemans at least.
Yeah. But I did want to just mention, since I'm pretty sure I was the only one who went to the theater to see them. I did see the best animated short films. I wanted to see the live action ones as well, but I didn't get to. But out of the 5 animated ones, the boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse, I really think should win. And the other 4 were very good and interesting in their own way. But I particularly, now that I've had like a month or whatever, several weeks to think about it, the Ice Merchants, it kind of sticks out to me as well as a pretty darn good one. But yeah, that that British one, the boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse is definitely the best one, I think.
Okay. Well,
yeah, it is amazing that there's a title in there, My Year of Dicks.
Yeah. I don't know if I mentioned to you guys this. It was quite funny. You know how usually in these animated shorts and even the live action shorts, a lot of times you get a lot more international stuff than you do out of like the Best Picture winners and stuff, or Best Picture nominations and stuff like that. And as you're watching them in the theater, the title comes up, and it has the country of origin and stuff like that. When I watched them, that was the very last one, because I think it was the longest of all of them. And it's just funny because it's like one of them is like from, I don't know, I can't remember precisely which country they all come from, but I think one's a European country, and then one might have been I know one was the top one, like I said, I think was a British one, and then the Ice Merchant one, I can't remember, some Spanish country, I think, or something like that. And then the one of them, the Flying Sailor, was from Canada. So you just see all these things, and they're all they're animated shorts. Some of them are very wholesome, like the Ice Merchants one is very, very, and the boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse, very like child friendly, very wholesome, uplifting films, and it says the country of origin. Finally, the last one gets to America, and it's like, My Year of Dicks. And there's just something that was very amusing about that to me.
Yeah. It is interesting that in the live action, Alfonso Cuarón is is involved with one of the movies.
Oh wow, yeah, right. See, now I'm even more angry that I didn't get to see that.
Yeah. Unless it's a different Alfonso Cuarón.
I guess
Assuming it's
maybe.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So directing,
Sure.
Matt. So it's Martin McDonagh, Daniels, Spielberg, Todd Field, and Ruben Östlund.
For the movie that none of us saw.
Yeah.
Right.
Wah, wah,
My
wah.
yeah, but my pick would be Todd Field. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not just that one scene. It's the context that that one scene brings into the rest of the movie that just sells me on Todd Field. Like, he just made a really brilliant decision, and it's a strictly directorial decision that he made in that one scene, that like this is going to be a oneer and this is going to be really difficult, and we're going to pull this off flawlessly, and it is all going to play into the rest of the movie. I think that's the best directorial decision that I've seen, not only this year but in years. So I give it to Todd Field. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where I wouldn't mind if the Daniels got it, but I feel like it's his moment. I don't think he's won this before. I mean, he's had movies that were nominated,
Yeah.
like In the
Little
Bedroom
Children.
and Little Children, but I think this was basically his, mini, maybe a
Magnum opus.
magnum opus or masterpiece of sorts, like where he really just like him and Kate Blanchett just went all out, like just go nuts and just do this crazy movie, and they mostly nailed it. But I feel like the Daniels also kind of, but maybe a bit too early in their careers. So maybe they'll still have another one, in the who you never know. But yeah, I'll be happy with both. But I feel like Todd Field, I give him a slight edge if I was voting.
Uh,
Yeah.
as I said already before, Everything Everywhere All at Once was my favorite movie of the year. I did like some of these other ones that are nominated for directing, but for the Daniels to win, that would be my pick for sure. Although, like I said, I'm going to try to see Tar tomorrow probably because I really want to see that one. So maybe I changed my mind. I don't know. Hard to say.
No, I mean most likely, I'm not sure if you would, but I mean there's definitely theirs is a more solid movie through and through. I feel like Tar is just on the serious level and importance level. I feel like it's just yeah, but
Yeah.
more of an Oscar-like movie. Um, yeah.
It's funny you guys are talking about about Todd Field, and I was like, "What have I seen of this guy's?" And I went back while you were talking about it, so I hadn't seen the movie, so I'm just kind of like browsing through his directing credits, and I was like, "Okay, Little Children, yeah, okay, I've seen a few of his movies. This guy's pretty good." And then I was like, "Wait a minute, oh, so like 15 to 20 years ago, he was primarily an actor." And I was looking, I'm like, I look at his picture on IMDb, and I was like, I have seen this guy before. Where are they? Like, oh, he's Nick Nightingale in Eyes Wide Shut. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right before the big orgy.
Man,
Right before, he was in the orgy. He was the piano
Well,
player.
he wasn't in. He was
Yeah, he wasn't
adjacent to.
yeah.
in.
He was
He was
playing the
adjacent.
piano. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really want to rewatch Little Children. It's been a long time. That is just such a rough movie.
Yeah,
I haven't seen In the
Uh,
Bedroom. I need to watch that one.
yeah.
me too.
uh,
Me too.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, just that that scene toward the end with Jackie Earl Haley, like
Ay, ay, ay.
that.
Rough.
Geez.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is a rough movie. It is a
yeah,
really rough movie.
He doesn't pick easy movies.
No,
yeah.
but yeah, there's a certain audacity that you need to have to, make it in this fucking business. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, and I guess he takes his time between movies, so he knows how to pick the subjects.
yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah. There's gonna be a scene where a guy cuts his own penis off because he needs
Hey,
to finally be good.
spoiler alerts. People might not have seen
spoiler
it.
alert.
Yeah.
At this point, we're way past the 2 hour mark.
No,
I feel like I really need to do some cutting, but
I'm sure
but
you're. I'm
not
sure
of
you're
no
gonna cut a lot of it.
penises.
Oh, oh.
You beat me to it.
My year of no dick.
Oh, and he brought it around again.